Good morning, everybody. Enjoying a beautiful sight right here, let me tell you. We got Miss Teresa in the house. We got Annie, always protecting the shop and hanging out. Look at that little girl. We want to thank Miss Teresa for doing such a wonderful job recording.
Blah, 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 blah.
Early morning, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Friday, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we got a C-4 tranny here out of a 65 Ford Mustang that was rebuilt.
We kind of discussed it a little bit already.
Yeah, just a little bit. But this one never left the shop, supposedly. Poured fluid right out the front of it instantly. They pulled the tranny out because they bought the unit on a restoration.
Restoration.
Yeah, restoration on this Mustang. So they bought the tranny. It sat around for a few years, I guess, because the torque converter had a crazy date on it. So I don't know. Might get this out. You can see how black that torque converter is. I think it was probably black and green underneath. I'm really not sure because you can see some green. Could have been a BNI at one time. But the date on it was, where'd it go?
Okay, I see a TF something on there.
Yeah, it's an F18 torque converter is what they call it.
It's a 13. 1126 of 13.
13. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. But it's an F18 torque converter.
Yeah.
We're actually going to have to ship this one over there to them and have them go through it real quick for us. But if you look at the fluid, see how it looks clear? There's no red to it.
Yeah, why is that?
Transmission fluid physically is clear, and then they add a red dye to it to change the color of it. We used to buy we were buying tranny fluid by the 55-gallon drums, and then they would pump it out of the drum and put it in our tank. And we'd pump it in the customers' cars, and sometimes we couldn't check it because it was so clear. You remember that, Teresa?
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, and they would actually come out and bring a bucket of dye, red dye, and pour in our tank, and then we'd jet it around to make it red again so you could actually see it. It's pretty crazy.
That's so funny.
But what happened here was this fluid got so hot that it physically cooked the dye out of the fluid. This fluid was red at once upon a time. And what happened to this unit was when they built it, they put the pump gasket on backwards and they plugged off the cooler line flow. So this thing just got tremendously hot. Like I said, they said they never drove it. So it actually got that hot inside the shop. And you can see what it looks like in the bell housing, the odd looking color.
Yeah, but why isn't that fluid black?
Because it didn't burn up. It just got so hot that it boiled it. It physically got that hot. Wow. Now the input shaft is locked down. I couldn't turn it. I tried to put a pair of pliers on it and turn it. Got these little vice grips here. We can clamp on here. See if I can turn it. Yes, it won't turn. Normally you should be able to pull this out, and we can't turn it or pull it out. So we know we got all kinds of major damage in here. Now they are going to be looking for a core. They supposedly found one in Oklahoma because we know we're going to have a lot of damage. Hopefully they didn't drive it like they said and the damage up in the front, not hold the whole Planetary gear train in the back of this thing.
Fingers crossed.
Huh?
I said fingers crossed.
Never good. Now you remember they had a shop build this thing. Now they did take a picture of the pump gasket. And the way it was, when they pulled it out and checked it for a leak, they just put it back together because they didn't know right from wrong. So they just basically put it back right just like it was. It needed to be flipped over. I'll show you guys here in just a second. We don't like to do trannies that's going to sit around for years because when you do, you're guaranteed the shifter shafts are going to leak. 90% of the seals are going to leak on the external. And if they do set, then we always recommend the customer bring it back to us so we can change the external seals before they put it in. It's not going to harm the internal, but it's definitely going to harm the external.
But dirt blows around. I mean, and fine dirt.
Well, it's just sitting on a cold floor for, a couple of years. It just not work. But boy, this thing does stink bad. I mean, you can see contamination down in here. All that blackness. I said these units here, when you build them, you better be able to eat off the parts. They have to be that clean. You have your governor here. Oh my gosh, don't tell me this don't turn neither. Oh my, the output shaft don't even turn. This might be a really big train wreck. This is the governor. This is controls up shifts and down shifts. A lot of them will have a little filter in here. This one does not. Since it's so early, they didn't realize they needed to put a filter in there to keep the governor from sticking. But you can see here's a valve here. And then there's another one down in here. Now we always put a check ball. We'll take this out right here like this. And we'll drop a check ball down inside this spring. Actually, dang, the guy, he kind of builds like me. Look at that, there's a check ball. We just drop it down inside the valve. Put the spring back in, put the retainer back in. That way that ball can kind of shake around inside this valve and keep it free. These valves are really bad about sticking if you don't get them really, really clean.
So will you put a filter in there?
No, there's no place.
Oh, there's not.
Now, if I got a core out here and then I got a later model governor support right here, we can put a filter right here and filter that. But the way this one is, you just better build it clean and get the cooling system cleaned. Also, I forgot to tell you, this thing right here, see this little retainer right here? This is bad about cocking. See how that just did that? Especially when you're cleaning with an air blower. And if you don't realize that cock, you put it in, it won't take off right. It'll take on second and third gear. So you always got to make sure that's like that. And then the valve will move in the center of it. If you cock it, it locks the valve down. And then you can just, so you just want to make sure, especially if you're doing it at home, that's a good tip right there. Of course, we have our screw-in modulator right here. Now they do have a bolt-in style too. It has a retainer off the tail housing that holds it in on the end. Or they have the screw-in style here. Actually, I'm going to leave that in there because I want to show you something. If I can get this thing apart. Man, that's terrible.
Might not be much to see.
Might not be much to see. There you go. That was what was in the pan. No, when we got it, actually this linkage wouldn't even move. Cody about broke his thumb trying to make it move, and then it popped and about broke it off. Now this is your passing gear right here. This needs to be spring loaded. When you put the valve body on, you want this to be spring loaded. See that spring loaded, how it pushes it back? That way you know you got it right in the TV valve, in the right spot. Now a lot of times if you hit this hard enough, it'll go on the inside of it and lock this down. So we always, like I said, we don't like to do carryouts on any of this stuff because if you just bump that, you can mess that up in there. Got your long bolt right here on your filter. All the other bolts are the same length. Just the one on the filter is longer right here on the corner. And then here's your TV valve I was talking about that moves right here. That can get stuck, this can get stuck behind there in that groove right there. It can actually get stuck behind here if you push it in too far. Now here's your detent spring. You remember we usually have not a lever, but a spring on top that counts your clicks, you know, like a rooster cone. Well, this is built into it right here. It's got a spring and a check ball. So these are your clicks that you're going to feel in your shifter. This thing smells really good, doesn't it, Tracy?
I'm trying not to. I mean, it's a lot better than that last
6
one.
speed, yeah.
Okay, this one is not making me sick to my stomach and dizzy.
Yeah. Let me tell you guys, that 6-speed, to get the cooling system cleaned on that was a 4-hour job. That thing was bad. a total 8-hour build. I mean, there's all the pieces there, but I mean, it was an 8-hour build. You gotta be careful. See how they pulled the threads on a lot of these bolts right here? I mean, these torque, but they torque it very little. Now, this is a screen filter, so it is reusable. These bolts are all the same length. And then you're going to have a couple of 7/16 on this side, 2 long ones. These are basically your starter bolts here. They're both the same length. You're going to flip it over like that. Pull this off because you're going to have a check ball and a spring right here. See that? So it's down in there, you don't want to lose it. Put that over there. And then here you have your normal check ball right here in the trough. Sometimes you can have pucks in here too, you want to look. I have a book that shows me every layout on every check ball and every valve body ever made. I have it over there.
Seminars. That's how you got a hold of
All those
seminars
books.
every year.
Yeah, didn't miss a seminar for 20 years or longer.
Yeah.
Now their overhaul kit's going to come with multiple gaskets, so you're just going to have to match your gasket up. Now you can find a check ball in here possibly, or you might even find a puck in here. But right there, I don't see anything. Turn it over, see if anything falls out. See how you see red?
Mm-hmm.
See, and then you don't see red? Mm-hmm. Because the fluid used to be cherry red on here. But anything that come out of that converter was just cooked beyond recognition. So, I don't have a book to show you, but I got like 4 of them check ball books.
Yeah, I know.
Now you have your modulator here and your modulator pin and valve through here. Anytime I do one of these, the valve is usually just free floating a little bit. And I don't like that. I usually make me another pin to where when I tighten the modulator down, I can feel about 1/4 of a thread or so going into the spring on the modulator. I don't like my valve to just be really loose in there. Same way with the push-in style modulator. I like the modulator to be sticking out about that far, about 30 thousandths or so, and then when it pops in, that means it's pushing on the spring in the modulator. I like a little bit of load on my valve and pin, I guess you could say. Oh, this is what they did. Look, oh, that's why it won't turn. Well, look at that, guys. They didn't get the drums lined up. Oh my gosh.
There is no way.
That's why it's locked down.
Wow.
This modulator pin, it don't move at all neither. It's totally locked down in the bore. Let me blow on this, Teresa. I don't want to get you.
You're down.
I just want to blow on a little bit, see if I can push it out. Now you can see, here's your modulator pin. They do make different lengths of them. I got a drawer full of them over there. But you can also make it out of a welding rod. But this is spring loaded. See that? Now, if you pump it like that, you get fluid that comes out of here, then the modulator diaphragm's bad. You need to replace the modulator. Hook a vacuum gauge to it, pump it up. When you pump the vacuum gauge up, it's going to suck the pin in. Okay? And when you stop, it should hold pressure or hold vacuum and hold the pin down. Pop it loose, should come back out. But no fluid should come out of here. And once you get it adjusted, if you don't like the way it shifts too early or too late, screw the pin in to make it shift later and firmer. Screw it out to make it shift earlier and softer. 1 turn is sufficient on being able to see a change. You can see this valve down in here. I don't even know. Right now,
It's stuck.
it is. Oh, it barely moved just then. Oh, there it goes. Come on. And you don't want to ever force nothing. If you do, you can scar the bore up for the valve and all kinds of stuff. And then you really never get it out. Because this has to be free floating, so you got to be really careful with it. It's a lot of metal. Clean that really good. Clean your bore out really good. Okay, guys, we have our rear banded right here. You have your servo here that applies it. You can blow in this hole right here and blow that out. Watch this. No, come here. Watch that right there. Now, this pin has a chamfer, and I like to adjust my band where the chamfer is flush with the case right there, okay? And it's got fluid in it too, so I'm kind of scared what it's going to do. See how that came out? And see the chamfer, how it stops, and it's right there at the edge? See that? That's a perfect adjusted band right there. That's a good band adjustment. And then on your intermediate band adjustment, it's going to be the same way when you put it. Hopefully don't blow no fluid out. But you can see, now this is, look in your instructions, I'm not sure what the intermediate band adjustment is. Could be 2 turns. I don't adjust it by the pin coming out. So you want to adjust it to spec, okay? But you can blow in this hole right here and watch that band move. Oh, I should have plugged that hole. Sorry, Tracy. Boy, that was a big shot there. That could have got you.
Oh, sorry, guys. I forgot I'm recording.
Y'all kind of did a flip for a second, huh?
Yeah. Well, it come through like
it was a big shot.
Here. Yeah, that's
the size of my thumb, it looked like.
Yeah.
But you can see here, when they took the bell housing off and put it back together, they pulled the drums out. This right here should be in here. So, I mean, this thing, they must have tied it down with a 1/2-inch impact. I don't know. Pretty crazy. Let's get our bands out of the way real quick. That out of the way. Now, your overhaul kit will come with new lock nuts right here, and it'll have new rubbers on it. You can tell that's a dinosaur. So that wasn't a new rubber on the end of that nut there. Your overhaul kit will come with 2 new ones. Well, I'm kind of glad to see that. Then maybe since they didn't drive it, that it didn't do a lot of damage in there. Now, he did find a core. And you have your reverse band adjustment right here, which it come out with it. And of course, this nut will have a rubber on it too. You can see right there, it's got the rubber on it that seals it. It's nice and tight though, have to get it off there. And then we have our intermediate servo right here. This is what applies the band. Yeah, you got a gasket here. Then you'll have an O-ring here. That's actually, it's a square cut O-ring. And then you'll have your apply piston here, your servo. Now this number right here, like if I'm ordering one that is a bonded piston, it's going to tell Raymond at Transtar what piston I need. A Z, a G, or whatever the letter is right there. Okay, so that gives you an idea. When you get a solid one, you have to physically tell Raymond that number. You can see the trash there. All the trash that's left in there. That's probably left in from being overhauled. You want to make sure this pin don't wobble really bad in here too. Make sure it's a nice and tight fit.
What if they try to put it in here and stuff? That could do a little bit of...
So you want to look in here and make sure everything's nice and smooth through here. That way that seals good there. And you have your reverse servo here. Now you do have a bracket that holds your vent tube on right there. Same, this one right here is a bonded piston like I was telling you about this intermediate one. These always, you have to check them a lot of times you can just grab this rubber and break it off. That's how brittle this gets back here. These do get hard. So if it's brittle, you have to get a soft one and put it back in. If not, you have a delay in reverse. Have reverse issues for sure. The band could slip, all kinds of stuff. Now this is a square cut seal. It just sets down in here like that, and when you put the cover on, that seals it to the case. So there's a lot of stuff you have to order to make these things work. Now right here, this is your TV linkage, right? But there's an O-ring right here. This O-ring is a special O-ring. You'll not find it nowhere. It only comes in your overhaul kits. Now they did do an updated one too. So it's hard to say which one is better. But that does have a seal there. And you also have another seal, of course, behind this linkage right here. You have to take this nut loose right here, pull this out, and then there's a seal behind here too. Okay. Okay. Now you can see here your band struts right here. They are different. Your adjustment pin goes in here. This goes into the servo. Same way with your reverse band. You have this little one here, and then you have this one right here. This is a... There it comes. The adjustment pin goes here. This goes into the servo pin. Let's get this thing apart right here.
Finally.
And see what we got.
Waiting.
Me too.
It's like release the pressure.
Well, I wanted to check a lot of things before I get there. Because this bell housing had to be sticking off there that far, and they tightened it down anyway. So I don't know if they tried to do this in the car when they took this apart. See, look here. It's already coming off here. It's already got a big gap right there. Watch when I take this.
Well, I can't.
Oh, you can't. Here.
Put it on this side.
Now, can you see that? Now watch when I take this last bolt loose. See what it does. Yeah, you see it more jump down here. Okay. Let's come back over to the other side, Tricia. Excuse me. Hopefully this will come out. They did a lot of changing on the sealing rings right through here. So you really have to match this stuff up when you mess with it. This gasket, we're going to post in the video, I believe was just like that. It fell out, but that's how that gasket was.
Put a picture in there.
We put a picture in there. We'll put another one in this video here. And you can see here, that's your cooler line. There's your cooler line fitting right there. So when they put that on there, it plugged the cooler line off completely. And that's why it did all the damage that it did. So, anyway, that shaft won't move. Let me grab this hammer here real quick, see if I can tap it out. We'll try to save all the pieces that we can. So we do have a core coming from Oklahoma, so. Yeah, like I say, I have to clean it up, see what it looks like. All the bushings are just totally purple. That bushing there. Shoulder's coming back to life. Okay, let's take this pump apart. Now these are metal sealing rings. Like I said, your overhaul kit's going to come with 5 different sets. And you always want to check your sealing rings. You never want to break your old ones neither. You want to take them off, keep them together. But if I'm going to put a sealing ring here, I'm going to check the forward drum. I'm going to take this sealing ring and I'm going to set it down in there just like that and make sure that sealing ring fits that drum. Because there's going to be a ring in that package that's going to fit here and it's going to fall to the bottom in here. Same way with this down here. You have to match these rings up. You're going to take that bottom one off. This is a metal ring too. You don't want to break them, because if you accidentally break one and then you need one and your old one is still in really nice shape, then that might save you waiting again. Same way here. You want to match that ring up and make sure it fits. See? Because there's going to be a ring in that kit that's going to fit there, but that ring's going to fall through the bottom. So you always have to match that stuff up. Okay, like I said, these things are really weird. They got washers everywhere. Well, here's our pump gear. You can tell it's pretty much wiped out. Now they did stick it in right. You see here, it does have where it catches the converter, it's ramped, so it'll go into the converter really easy. And this side here is flat, so if you stick the flat side in, it's not going to stab easy in the converter. But if you put this side in, it helps you get the converter in. Okay, this gear here can go either direction. You know, if you use a used gear, you want to make sure you watch how you take this out, that way you can put it back like it is. But your new gear can go either direction. This one has a certain way it has to go. Okay. Of course, since that gear's wiped out, we're going to come.
That bushing is bad.
Oh, definitely. Look at that bushing, guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Look, this one down in here.
Oh, yeah. This one here is purple.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can see here where this pump stator body is just wiped plumb out. From you can see where the gear right here has just been grinding it. Okay. Of course, this is no good neither. There's the bushing, but it wiped it plumb out because you have pressure and suction here. Anytime you wipe it out here, you're in trouble. Or here, you're in trouble. It will never work. Okay. Then you go to washers, you have your standard washer right there. That's going to be for your 3rd gear drum. Your 2nd gear band goes around it. Now you have your forward clutch, okay? But you have this little washer right here. Of course, all the teeth are knocked off of it. Sets in there like that, and that's what sets here, down in here, okay? But if you look at this drum has a really funny bushing in it. Nice looking bushing, but it's also bushinged on the outer edge of that bushing. So it's got a bushinged lip. And that bushing lip sets on here. That sets in there just like that. Okay. Now this is your 3rd gear clutch. And you can tell the backing plate was flipped. You can tell it's already been used on one side. This side of the backing plate does look fine. Steels have been cleaned up, but you know, they look decent. You want to look here where your sealing rings run. Looks good there. You can Scotch-Brite that up, put a new bushing in there, pull the piston, change your seals. Gonna have to have a new washer there. And then we have this washer here. This should be a brass washer too. Look how purple it is.
Looks like some of it's missing.
Well, the way they just bolted it down and tightened it down in there. But this sets down in here inside your forward drum. And then you got some other things, your planetary and stuff sets down in there. But the same way, you want to make sure your sealing rings are good here, where your bushings are going to run. Those washers. And here you have your forward clutch. The forward clutch and the 3rd gear clutch is different. They will not interchange. You can see here, this is a smooth clutch. This is a waffle clutch. Now you can see this is bowed. See how bowed that is?
Oh,
Like a saucer, yeah. which the material is coming off. And that could be because when they just tightened it all together, they just smashed everything.
Sure.
So, then you have this bevel plate. You want to make sure it's good. You can see here it's got some damage right here where it's been touching. Because this right here sets, you can see the apply plate is beveled. And the center of the ply plate touches here, so when this comes up, it applies the clutch. These are bad about breaking. Actually, oh, the snap ring's not even in there anymore. The snap ring, see, it ain't even in the groove. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? See some damage right here, not much. Just where something touched it. As you can see how it sets right there, and then this bevels up and applies it. What it is, almost like a cushion to apply the forward clutch without putting a servo or accumulator on the side to soften it. But you do have a metal band, a ring that sets in here that sets on. It does not set on the aluminum piston. Of course, you have a seal here. You have a little check ball floater right there. And this little thing, it's a crazy thing, but it's only attached on one side. You never see it attached on both sides. So you just want to make sure that ball's in there and that's not bent. And you can see it. Cheapest, craziest design, but it works. And then you have an O-ring down in here. And it physically is an O-ring. Well, that's a square cut, so a lot of trash you got to be clean. Hours and hours of cleaning. Of course, we have our intermediate band. This band is not new. It's clean and nice looking, but that's not a new band that they paid for. Now here you can see a thrush washer here. Now normally this could be a brass looking one, but this has that coating on it. It's white. And you have a bushing there. Look how purple that bushing even got. And you have your forward planet. Want to make sure no pins are purple or anything like that. If they would have drove this thing, it would have got all this back stuff back here and wiped it out completely.
You can even turn the shafts. I bet it wouldn't move.
Right, it might not have moved, yeah.
Right.
But see, look at that bushing. Purple. That's how hot this thing got. And then you have your 3-pinion lower planetary, which is the aluminum one. And remember this, though, when we're looking in down inside the case, remember that was like that, and it has to be like that. That tells you how much they had that smashed, crushed together. Huh.
I'm sure that was hard to get that back on there like that.
You got big enough impact, you can tighten her down. And the bolts hold up and the case doesn't pull the splines out of it.
Which
Or that's
something you might have to look at to make sure.
not the splines, but the threads out of it. You have a little snap ring right here. Some of them can be a wire, or some of them can be a round hole style. I always like to put the flat side out because these are round on one side a little bit and flat on the other. Just make sure everything looks good in there. Now you're going to have a one-way clutch down here, roller clutch, and a band. Have a big old bushing in there. Look how purple that bushing got. I don't even know what type of temperature it would have to get to turn bushings purple like that. Anybody watching knows some stuff like that? Let us know what you think.
Well, I mean, cooks color out of the
Fluid and stuff.
yeah.
Of course, you can see here. I'm sorry, Teresa. Yeah,
No, you're
just
good.
cooking the color out of there. That's hot. Of course, this is a reverse band. It's pretty much junk, and it was like that. It was installed like that. You can see here the grooves are totally gone down here by the fingers. That was fixing to go metal to metal. It's just really thin band. So once it goes metal to metal, it'll start rubbing here and scraping metal off here. So definitely needs a band. Now this is our governor support here. You can see the 3 sealing rings. Now these are brand new. You can see the yellow marking on them. Anytime I install them, I do get them the opening away from each other. Stick it in that way. You got your governor support back here. Now remember, they bought this tranny leaking out the front, and when they pulled it apart, that gasket was like that. So they just put it back together like it was, and they probably created a worser problem because they pulled everything apart, and when they put it back together, nothing was lined up, and they tightened it down anyway. So, but here's your governor support. Your cylinder rings running here. We like to hone this out a little bit. You can see where each ring runs, or scotch brite it really well. See it down in there. This is your parking mechanism right here. You can see how this works. Got a pin in the spring, and your lever, and this is your parking. So if you move it to park, it kicks it over. Take it out of park, it spins. But this is a funny little spring right here that kicks it back out, keeps it from rattling going down the highway. And you have your parking gear, and then you're going to have a metal washer right here. That's in there. That's down on here. And then you have your case bushing. You can see here your rear cooler line is going to be your return, and it comes back into your rear case bushing and then lubricates all this fluid going forward and lubricates everything. So, I mean, it's got some problems, but it can definitely be fixed. I think if we put a pump in it, bushing kit, just a basically complete overhaul kit, seals, bushings, bands, new pump assembly. I think we can make this thing survive again. One more day, huh, Teresa?
Maybe.
Maybe. But anyway, we want to thank you for watching. We want to thank Miss Teresa for always getting out here and recording, standing there for hours at a time. Don't forget to go check out our merch store. It's not big, but it's something that Teresa does for us. And don't forget to subscribe and push the old notification bell. And Annie's still guarding the shop. Ain't you, Annie? She's wonderful, I tell you. Well, y'all have a great weekend and a great day.